Elementary school days were the best, right? Those times seem so distant now, but those days were some of my favorites. The stresses of working and being an adult were non-existent. Instead, the biggest dilemma you had was whether you were going to get the cardboard rectangle pizza for lunch or the microwave burrito that was so freezer burnt you had to cut off the edges. If your elementary experience was anything like mine, you probably had some core values drilled into your brain by administrators all year long. They preach things like honesty, motivation, courage, and the one value that you probably learned on your own, how to sneak your Game Boy into school so you could trade Pokemon with your friends. One of the most important values we learned about in elementary school was teamwork. And the older I get, the more I understand how important teamwork is. Even the simplest of tasks and daily processes require more than one person, and it is within that fundamental value that Pikmin is born. Nintendo has been steadily porting some of their Wii U favorites onto the Switch, and Pikmin 3 finally got the full treatment with the release of Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Let's take a look today at the newest Pikmin and explore how teamwork can transform an entire game's mechanic. Get ready to blast off! I played Pikmin 3 for the first time on the Switch in the newly released Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Prior to that, I played Pikmin 1 and 2 as a kid on the GameCube, and again later on the Wii after the original games were ported to that console. In my time with the original Pikmin games, as well as with the newest entry, I've learned a lot about teamwork. Pikmin games center around the growth and production of, well, Pikmin, which are anthropomorphic plant creatures that you control. The objective of the game is simple. Explore environments, grow and harvest Pikmin, and use your Pikmin to retrieve objects found around your environment. Your surrounding environments have many hazards, like hungry Pikmin-eating monsters, electricity-charged gates, and fire-consumed caverns with treasures inside. The key strategy to uncovering the game's secrets is utilizing different Pikmin tactfully to clear different obstacles that would otherwise be unreachable. Pikmin 3 Deluxe features 7 different types of Pikmin, a huge jump from the original 3 types featured in the first game. Red Pikmin are fire resistant and can be used to defeat fire-breathing enemies. Yellow Pikmin can conduct electricity. Blue Pikmin can swim. Rock Pikmin can crush huge structures. And winged Pikmin can carry items with ease through the air, avoiding other obstacles. Throughout your adventures, you'll use different Pikmin combinations in order to solve puzzles and return your spoils to your base. So, what do Pikmin need to retrieve, and why is it so important? The plot of Pikmin 3 Deluxe centers around the events following a rocket ship crash landing on a strange alien planet. The game follows the adventures of 3 astronauts, Alf, Brittany, and Charlie, as they recover from the crash and eventually find their way back to each other with the help of their newfound Pikmin friends. Upon assessing their rocket ship, the Drake, Alf discovers that the ship's cosmic drive key was lost in the wreckage, which is a part needed for the explorers to return to their home planet of Kopai. While searching for the cosmic drive key, there are several things along the way that the player will need to collect. Each day spent in-game requires at least 1 day's worth of food rations, which are accumulated through collecting pieces of fruit. The fruits can be found in secret spots and within enemies, and can be carried back to the Drake with Pikmin to be squeezed into food ration. Similar to the 30-day time limit that was imposed in the first Pikmin, the player only has enough days to search as what they have rationed. I never found myself close to being out of food during my playthrough, which led to a much less stressful gaming experience. I can't stand games that constantly pit you against the clock. I get way too anxious. Looking at you, Majora's Mask. Aside from fruit, the player will also need to collect a few key items to progress the plot. At the beginning of the game, the Drake's signal detector is very weak, and can only pick up communication signals in short range. Collecting other key items will enhance the Drake's signal detector, and collecting enough of them will eventually boost it enough to find the cosmic drive key. These items, such as a Nokia cell phone, are often hidden in enemies or the pits of treacherous caverns, making retrieving them more like a dungeon or boss battle. Control-wise, the game plays really well. Veteran fans of the Pikmin series may find themselves adjusting to the controls at the beginning, but overall the controls work great. In previous entries, the players heard a Pikmin could be controlled using the C-stick on the GameCube controller in order to funnel them past big obstacles. Unfortunately, this mechanic was not carried over, but Pikmin 3 Deluxe added plenty of great new mechanics that can work around this. After a few in-game days, the playable astronaut characters are reunited, and the player can use them in creative ways to solve puzzles within dungeons. The player is able to swap between astronauts and use each to control 3 separate groups of Pikmin to get the most productivity out of each day. For example, One group could be breaking down a gate, while another group works to carry a fruit back to the ship. I really enjoyed using the different characters to solve puzzles, and the game devs did a great job in making them challenging, but fun. Nintendo has started a recent trend of putting tutorials or hints in their games. Pikmin 3 Deluxe also has hints available for access anytime in case the player gets off course or isn't sure what to do next. While these hints are appreciated, I found that they were often pretty obvious and seemed to ruin the appeal of solving the various puzzles. This isn't really that big of a deal, especially because it's pretty easy to ignore the hints if they appear, but it still feels like the game holds your hand through certain points. Graphically, Pikmin has never looked better. The game's environments are based on real-life Earth and are really pretty to look at. One of the first levels you'll find yourself in is the Garden of Hope, which was the first stage of the original Pikmin. Seeing how the designers revamped and redesigned the already appealing forest into a calm, serene wilderness habitat really drove home my appreciation for the game's natural landscapes. Also, the Pikmin themselves. They're just so cute, okay? Did you see that rock Pikmin? So, overall, how did Pikmin 3 hold up on a trip to the Switch? I love the Pikmin series. My brain works the best when it's organized, and the mechanics in the Pikmin games appeal to that a lot. Pikmin 3 added a lot of fun features that not only retain the fun of the original games, but expanded in a way that makes sense. The challenge of controlling 3 different characters added a new level of tasking and problem solving, and I was really surprised in how many hours I sank into crawling through the environments and finding all the hidden treasures I could. The central theme behind the Pikmin series is teamwork. These times, especially in late 2020, have been crazy, and there are so many of us that feel alone right now. Pikmin 3 was a much needed reminder that when we work together, we can solve any problem, even those that seem impossible. There's a lot of real-life problems to solve right now, but if we work together, I truly believe we can accomplish anything and come out stronger on the other side. Pikmin 3 Deluxe is a masterpiece! Play it. For real.